Age of Empires 2 has stood the test of time as one of the greatest real-time strategy games ever made. With a history of over 20 years, many people have been enjoying playing it for most of their lives. I happen to be one of those people, and I'm here today to tell you about different ways in which you can have fun with this legendary game. Now, there's no one way to play Age of Empires 2, and you can be as competitive or casual as you want with it. Grinding out ladder games in a quest for self-improvement, or playing through the historic campaigns to immerse yourself in an interactive narrative are both completely different but very common ways of playing this game. I might be pretty much exclusively on the competitive side of AoE right now, but when I was younger, I didn't really know how to set up multiplayer games, so I stuck to mostly single player against the AI and scenario editing. I played a few of the campaigns too, but I wasn't really that into them. Self-improvement has always been important to me, so I would always challenge myself to play on the hardest settings that I thought I could beat, and then up the AI's difficulty or add another AI if the game wasn't challenging enough. The feeling you get when you overcome challenges is hard to come by in everyday life, but with AoE, you're able to set the difficulty just right where you feel that you have the most fun. These days, there's the ranked ladder, where after 10 or so games, the matchmaking system figures out your approximate skill level so you can play an evenly matched game without needing to experiment with different settings. Of course, playing with other humans has its own costs and benefits. Human players will provide a more fair feeling to the game since AI acts differently in comparison. The skill ceiling is also much higher, as humans are simply much stronger than AI, at least for now. There's definitely a lot of fun to be had with coming up with ways to exploit the AI's stupidity though. Making lots of castles and bombard towers and watching the AI funnel army after army into it is quite the experience. Another advantage of fighting AI is that they aren't people, and therefore they don't care how frequently you pause. If you're playing while doing something else, loading into a single player game is probably for the best.
Tuglak relies on the charge of his armored elephants, but he has no idea what is coming.
Now charge, my mahouts!
Send forth the flaming camels! Ha!
Playing regular games is fine and all, but sometimes you want something a bit more objective-based. There are tons of campaigns to choose from, so if you like this game for its medieval aesthetic, then you'll probably enjoy the campaigns. There's gotta be at least 100 hours of campaign content these days, so even if you play them exclusively, I'm sure you'll get your money's worth. Speaking of getting your money's worth, these days, if your computer is not a complete potato, you should be playing the definitive edition of the game. If you're still playing the HD version, consider upgrading to DE. You'll have a much better time, at least in 1v1s. Lag basically doesn't exist due to the server-based model instead of peer-to-peer, and the devs are continuing to update the game for the foreseeable future. Most players are playing in the definitive edition, so if you like having a good time, you should probably stop playing HD and pick up DE. Another thing I mentioned earlier was the scenario editor. I really liked RPGs when I was younger, so I would try to make some RPG-style maps in the editor. It got to the point where I knew how to use most of the triggers and could do all sorts of interesting things just by using a bit of imagination. Back in the early 2000s, the internet wasn't what it is today, so I pretty much had to learn the logic of the conditions and effects myself. It was always fun trying to figure out how to make everything work through trial and error, and I definitely learned the fundamentals of computer programming without even realizing it. If you're feeling creative and want to make your own game, then be sure to check out the scenario editor. If you don't want to make something as big as a new game, and the scenario editor isn't really your thing, you can try making your own build order. There's nothing like winning games with a build that you created yourself. I created this handy app that has gather rates for every resource, as well as the resource balance you need to maintain production for each unit with whatever upgrades and civ bonuses that you want. Using these numbers to guide you, with a bit of testing, you can make an optimized build order for whatever strategy you want. It's a really great exercise for those who like solving puzzles, so I really recommend build order creation as an alternative to your daily Sudoku. A lot of people enjoy Age of Empires without even playing it. I mean, what are you doing right now? Tons of people these days exclusively watch other people play the game, or are interested in the game's mechanics without ever really playing it themselves. Since the Age 2 esports scene is fairly well developed, there is usually a big tournament going on any given weekend, so there are lots of great games to watch with commentary over top. Even if you only watch games, you'll never run out of content between everything that gets uploaded to YouTube and live streams. Usually YouTube videos have more focus, where live streams can have a lot of downtime between games. The main advantage of live streams is that since they're happening in real time, you can interact with the other viewers, and of course the streamer themselves. Live streams can feel more like you're participating in something, whereas if you watch pre-recorded games, you can be sure that the game will at least be somewhat interesting. Live games aren't always great, so if you want to see the best games, YouTube stuff is the way to go. If you want to feel like you're hanging out with friends who have a similar hobby and not someone who's watching someone else play video games while you're alone in the basement, then live streams are for you. No matter what kind of viewer you are, I appreciate all of you coming and watching this video. It's because of the community that I can make Age of Empires content full time. In addition to live streams, scripted content like this one takes a ton of time to produce, so I'm glad that I have the opportunity to spend all of my waking hours, and some of my sleeping hours, thinking about this awesome game. I have a lot of fun making content, so I'd better add it to the list of ways to enjoy this game, as really anyone can start up a YouTube or Twitch channel and start making videos. Another similar idea is to post on Reddit or Discord, or even the official Age of Empires website about whatever you want regarding the game. Even just reading posts can take hours out of your day if you're not careful. Anyways, I can't really tell you how you should enjoy the game, but I can present you a bunch of options to choose from. Hopefully at least one of these options sounds fun to you, and you're inspired to try something new.
Wait for my signal to attack. Enemy sighted. Wait. Enemy sighted. Wait for my signal.